Welcome to Gospel Greetings number 116. Happy Canada Day weekend. And for our American friends, happy Independence Day. You'll remember that the theme of this series is that by appropriating God's power, you can overcome all the attacks of the evil one. Last week, we spoke about alertness and perseverance in prayer from Ephesians 6:18 to 20. Praying at all times in the Spirit with all prayer and supplication. To that end, keep alert with all perseverance, making supplication for all the saints, and also for me, that words may be given to me to proclaim the gospel boldly as I ought to. We spoke about Garth Steele and his dream of 2:2:5 from Mark 2:5, which describes friends lowering the paralytic through the roof to Jesus by faith, and how we can lower others through the roof in prayer into the Lord's presence. I exhorted you to be alert and persevere in prayer for yourselves, your businesses, all the saints, and even for me. This week, we will be winding up the Full Armor of God series and looking at standing your ground from Ephesians 6:13. Therefore, put on the full armor of God so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything, to stand. Now, before we talk about standing, let's do a quick review. We have spoken about this armor being spiritual armor, which is from God and is God's. We described being in a spiritual battle with our enemy, the evil one, and his minions. Then prayer as the first offensive weapon to invoke God's power and appropriate all the other pieces of armor. Then we look piece by piece at each component of heavenly armor: the belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, feet fitted with the gospel of peace, shield of faith, helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit. We discussed continual awareness and perseverance in prayer. Now, here's my experience. Many do not consciously daily put on the armor. It's kind of like we say to ourselves, when something major comes up, I'll rise to it and God will help me. Of course, this seldom works, and we have seen guys' lives fall apart around them because they never put on armor. Now, look at verse 13. It says, Therefore, because you have such enemies to contend with and such a battle to fight, take up daily the whole armor of God, which is provided and prepared for you. If you put it on and use it, you will be, as the commentators call it, invulnerable in the Spirit. You'll be able to stand. Now, in Greek mythology, the ancient heroes were said to have had armor sent to them by the gods, and even the great armor maker Vulcan was reputed to be a god himself. And all this is a bunch of fables, but what Paul's speaking about is spiritual reality, that you may be able to withstand, that you may not only stand fast in the liberty with which Christ has made you free, but also fluster all your spiritual foes, and then continuing in your battle, retain your ground against them, never putting off your armor, but always standing ready, prepared to repel any new attack. And after you have done everything, to stand, rather, and having conquered all, stand. Done everything in the Greek is a military phrase speaking of overcoming an enemy. And then in the evil day describes any time of trouble, affliction, or temptation. But you see, God is so good. He's told us in advance that evil days will come, but He has also given us the armor to withstand it. So we can stand our ground when trials come. We can be strong when temptations arise. So today, put on your full armor, and don't forget to do it tomorrow either.